I am exhausted. I just got back from Dragon Con yesterday, and wow, yeah, did not get enough sleep. If you've never been to Dragon Con before, it is a massive convention in Atlanta, Georgia. It takes place around Labor Day weekend, and it's a huge costuming, huge party thing. It's not like your normal con where the convention center closes and you have to go home or find a party. It's all in the hotels, so it's just one massive party, and it's pretty much going on throughout the day, throughout the night, for about 4 days straight. So it's pretty intense. Needless to say, I did not get enough sleep. So I was pretty exhausted, and on the flight back, there was screaming children sitting right in front of me, so my attempts to sleep were completely eradicated. So, I am going to be sculpting something today. I have no idea what, but it's for an upcoming event called Wasteland Weekend that I'll be going to. That takes place in the desert in California. At least I think it's called, yeah, in California. Something that my friends have been harassing me to go to, so I'm going to give it a shot. Wasteland Weekend is basically, think of Mad Max Ren Fair, out in the desert. So everybody sets up their camps, they have their tribes, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. There's a Thunderdome set up, but it's like Ren Fair, post-apocalyptic. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So we're going to tear the skull mask sculpt off of my life cast and just start going at it. And I'll take some input, some advice from you guys, and we'll make something cool happen. I can do mask. So that is the plan for today. Also, if you missed it last time, or I forgot to say this, I have some news. I'm going to be moving back to Los Angeles. So, but it's good though. It's going to move in with some other creative people, and we're going to set up a streaming house. So this way, basically, we're going to have a bunch of people streaming. We're going to have a lot more people on. We're going to improve the quality of the show. We're going to start doing things like podcasting, bringing in guests, doing just creative builds. We have people in the special effects, people who are illustrators, people who are other foam builders, all kinds of things. LA is ripe with creative people, so we're going to be doing that. But until that time, things might be a little slow, a little off on schedule until I can get everything set up back down there again. So you'll have to bear with me. I will still make posts and answer questions and things like that, but as far as the live streaming goes, there might be a bit of a gap there until I can get everything set up and established down there again. So big things are happening, good things are happening, and follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you want to see my posts and updates on the status of the move and everything going on. So looking forward to that. And if I saw you at Dragon Con, it was wonderful to meet you. If I didn't see you, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to run into you. If I seemed out of it, it's probably because A, I didn't have enough sleep, and B, there was so much going on, my brain was trying to catch up. So I do apologize if I seemed like a bit of a space cadet. But there was a lot going on, and I was trying to catch up with so many people, and there's so many people that I didn't even get a chance to see. So if I get a chance to see you, awesome. If not, there's always other conventions that I will be to. And I did meet some very incredible people, some very awesome people, some very cool fans, and I was surprised that more people recognized me in just my normal clothes, just wandering around the convention trying to find other people to get something to eat. But yeah, good times at Dragon Con. Glad I met so many awesome people. So let's get started. As you see, I have nothing here except a dusty table that I'm trying to clean everything up from before the madness of Dragon Con. Getting ready some very last minute stuff. So if you were at Dragon Con, or if you saw what I was working on beforehand, I got some questions in chat here. Answer those real quick. MNC Prop says, you never get a lot of sleep at Dragon Con. That is absolutely true. I always plan to get a lot of sleep, but it never happens. And Sepular, what am I building today? I have no idea. You guys are going to help me out. I've got some general thoughts, kind of a look I'd like to go for, but we're going to do something more mechanical today. So last time was very organic, so we're going to go over some more mechanical, robotic, industrial looking and metal stuff. So that's what we're going to be working on today. So I had to go make sure I got myself some water, some food. One thing to keep in mind, if you stay up a long time at a convention, it's eating food. You never think about it, but eating food if you want to stay up for several days in a row will help because you're burning that energy. You don't think about it because normally you're sleeping and you don't have meals throughout the night. Usually you just eat lunch, breakfast, dinner, but I just eat whenever I'm hungry. You just gotta remember to eat or you're gonna stay awake for a long time. Red Bulls are only gonna do so much, but if you try to depend on them, you will get sick. Alright, so let's get this guy over here. Boom! And there's dust everywhere. Gonna have to do a shop cleanup. Oh yeah, little fun with an airsoft pistol there. Boop. Good times. Alright. First I'm going to get a giant mouthful of Fritos. What's up, Mr. Bad Mac? How you doing? Hello from Germany. Oh, we got people from Germany. That is awesome. And it's always very cool to get other people from other parts of the world watching the live stream. I'd say something in German, but I'd probably make an ass out of myself because it's been a long time since I've spoken German. Oh, good stuff. Okay, so let's get our tools out. I'm gonna need some more clay. So when you are sculpting something that's not necessarily organic, like Tali Helmet or Star-Lord or something like that, you don't have to sculpt all the little details. Basically, you want to get a base shape, and then you cheat. For example, Tali, all the tubes and everything that were right here on the mouth that I sculpted, those are all just PVC pipe, other things, other pieces. So I didn't have to sculpt a perfect circle, because that would have been a nightmare. So if you can 3D print parts or anything like that, and then put that on top, go for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a base shape, and I've got a ton of bits and offcasts of other little random things I've made, and we're going to use those and add it to this, so that way I have to sculpt less. It's a quick, easy way to cheat. Oh, I got somebody in chat who is working on a Star-Lord helmet as well. It is a nightmare, let me tell you. I do not miss working on that helmet. There we go. Now it just looks like a crazy mustache. Scepter. I can only read part of that. I am really, really rusty on my German. Alright, let's scrape this guy off. This wooden tool here. One thing you can do too is just set this guy under a heat lamp or use a heat gun and get the clay really malleable and help get it off. The clay that I'm using right now is monster clay. It comes in a container like this. Get this online from their website. You can't get it on Amazon, sadly. I don't know why. They should totally sell it on Amazon. So if you work for Monster Clay and you're watching, start selling your stuff on Amazon. Make my life easier. Monster Clay is basically a wax-based clay, like a Chavant, kind of similar. It gets pretty rigid. It's what I started using. It's what I'm comfortable with using right now. But there's lots of clays out there. Experiment, try it out, see what works best for you. And it's all really a matter of preference. So there's no best clay to use or one proper clay. Just like there is no one technique to rule them all. Just look at the fiberglass on this guy. Just a little silicone boogers everywhere. Need to take some rubbing alcohol to this guy and clean him off one day. Pretty nasty. Alright. So, I'm going to go get the heat gun so we can start melting this, getting it easier to work with. I already made a cast of this guy, so I can destroy it. You can see there's the inside. So I already made a mold of the skull thing, so I can make as many as I want now. And we'll be going over that later, too, how I did this if you missed the last time when I made the mold. So I sculpted it, cast it, molded it. You can see it here. Got multiples of this guy. So that's why I'm destroying it now. Don't need it anymore, just taking up space. All right. Alright, the cord, now I had to go find what I did with the heat gun. Alright. So since this is wax-based, heat it up to make it more malleable, and you can use compressed air flipped upside down to make it colder and more rigid, which I actually just realized I'm out of, because somebody used a whole can of it to kick off their hot glue Build-A-Ran. So, might have to make a quick break. Luckily, Home Depot's right around the corner, or Office Depot. Which flavor of chips this time? This time, chili cheese Fritos. One of my personal favorites ever since I was a little kid. Today, we are working on my post-apocalyptic build for Wasteland weekends. Happens out in the desert in California, a couple weeks after Dragon Con. It's like a Mad Max Ren Fair, basically. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start sculpting this guy. I've got some general ideas, and then we'll go from there. Now, I've got the clay here. Free advertising going on right there. And then I've also got all these other little bits and pieces from parts I've cast up before. You can kind of see, focus in on there. See these little weird mechanical parts and bits, little weird buttons and things, circles, discs, like that. I've got a whole bin of these things too. I'll pull all these out, different shapes. These like cool bullet things. So I can add stuff to this sculpt. So instead of actually sculpting a screw, I've got a little thing of tiny machine screws right here. So we can always use those. Different little hoses and pipes from my Star-Lord sculpts. You can use that. All kinds of fun stuff. See, the nice thing is after I sculpt it, I can just pop these up, put these back with the other bits, and I can use them for something else. Let's look at that. What else do I got over here? I got weird hoses and attachments. Got that. parts. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's it. There we go. These containers are great to put stuff in. So let's slide this mask over until I get all my little bits and pieces. Get some more light on this. Alright. So get some stuff there. Got some vents. So I'll find a good one of these. Yeah, there's bubbles in it. Might have to cast some new ones up. I think I've got a mold of some of these bearings and stuff around. Some other weird pieces. This might look cool for a filter. Some guy right there. I'm going to take all the cool things I think I might be able to use and dump them in here. That's pretty cool. That's crappy boy. That's pretty cool. Right. Bill's got a bunch of other things too, so we're going to look over there. I'll be right back. Bill's got this little drawer here filled with all kinds of stuff. So, let's see. So these are all kinds of, like, this was actually a little heat sink. You can see he cast that up, used a patina on there. There's a copper one, that's pretty cool. Rock stuff. I like that, I can definitely use that. Cool little piece there. Some little like bolt and nut deal. Ooh, cold cast. Oh, and that one actually has the vents cut through. Ooh, yeah, all kinds of little knobs and dials. Let's get a couple of these little knobs and dials here, and these are all just castings. So that's nice. Some of those in there. And those. Cool little connectors and wires and hoses. Take some of these guys. Alright, ooh, these are cool. These are little Allen wrench screw heads there. Those will look really cool. Let's take a couple of those guys. I'm going to use these. Sculpt there. These are the tiny little molds for these up top here. Bearings. Alright, I think I'm good. I think I have plenty of things to play with. I've also got some cool perforated aluminum, which I'm planning on using instead of lenses, and stuff like this. Got some other really cool, weird metal textures in here. I'll use those later. Actually got some more pipes and tubes from Star-Lord. Maybe cut these up. Use those for something. And some more cylinder pieces. Alright. Boom! Alright, so we got that. And I just dumped all my brushes. Yes, I did go to DragonCon, Baradiator. It was a blast. It was a blur. It went way too fast. There was a lot of people I didn't get a chance to see, a lot of people who wanted to see me and missed me or told me they saw me as I was going up an elevator and couldn't catch up with me. It's so massive now that it's really hard to meet up with people. I remember when there was a time where I'd go up to the Pulse Loft, which is in the main lobby of the main hotel, and I would know the majority of the people up there. I could easily walk around, and it was a lot more. I mean, it was still crazy and a big party, but it was a lot more relaxed. Now it's like I go up there, there's like, oh, there's 5 people because there's not enough room for us to fit up there. So it is really insane at DragonCon now, and my buddy had to explain to his parents what it was because they came out to visit because they live locally, and he gave probably the best description. It's like a nerd Mardi Gras party. It's insane. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I missed a lot of people, Radiator. Next year I'll try to be more centralized. Try to have an area where I'll be. Usually I'm around the Marriott, but it's crazy this year. So next year I'll try to do something. Next year we're thinking of doing a full Saints Row group. I could actually plan Saints Row group and really focus on having some cool weapons. I wanted to, but I didn't have time. I wanted to do the dubstep gun. If you're not familiar with the dubstep gun from Saints Row, it's a very fun gun that you shoot it and everybody starts dancing. You can upgrade the gun, so if you shoot something, it blows up as it's dancing. But it's a pretty cool, crazy-looking gun. They've got some really amazing, fun stuff there. So we're gonna do a fun thing for that next year. And it's such an easy, because there's so much in that video game. An easy group for people to just jump in, wear some purple, throw a fleur-de-lis on, and have a cool-looking weapon. So that's the plan next year. So far, until it all falls apart. That's the thing. Never try to have a solid scheduled plan at DragonCon because it is just going to fall apart. I try to just kind of stay casual and kind of just go wherever sounds fun because plans it can be a pain. The weapon I had this year from Saints Row was very not safe for work. Was the I think they call it a penetrator. It was the very phallic-shaped bat. Yeah, the purple bat, as Mr. Badmech in chat explains it. That's exactly what it was. I'll tell you, it's not the greatest idea to bring that out to around a bunch of drunk people at 2 in the morning. But it went over pretty well, and strange that it was more popular and more well-received than the actual armor that I spent numerous days on. The bat I made in one day. So, yeah. Alright. I just need to scoop this out. This is probably the biggest pain. Is this clear? Am I able to make a Batman, like a Batman cowl? Yeah, absolutely I can make a Batman cowl, but it's not really my MO. That would be, if you're interested in Batman or superhero cowls, I would check out Reeves Effects. I think it's Reeves Effects. He does some incredible superhero cowls and masks. The bat is not here in my apartment. um, in pieces. It was a disassembled thing, so but it is not here. And I'm pretty sure Twitch would not let me show that. I don't know, maybe if I changed to the parental advisory, but still, yeah, a little iffy. Especially since I have not been here long, I don't want to step on anybody's toes. So what I'm doing right now, this is a wax-based clay, monster clay. You can get this on their website. Just Google monster clay. It is wax-based kind of oil clay. Or wait, it says what? Sulfur-free oil-based elastic clay. Packaged in an ovenable tray. This is 5 pounds, but it gets more malleable with heat, which is why I'm hitting this, or else it's going to be a pain in the ass to try to get out of this. So, heating that up a bit. And then I can use this to kind of make an ice cream scoop, and I can start slapping stuff on there. I'm just trying to layer this on. So let's talk about this idea as I'm throwing the clay on here. So it's Wasteland weekend that this mask is for, and I want something kind of cool for that. Wasteland weekend is like a Mad Max Ren Fair out in the desert in California. It's post-apocalyptic, all kinds of things. Some Borderlands inspired, some Fallout inspired. All kinds of stuff. They have a barter town, like a Thunderdome there. Really cool stuff. So that's what I'm making something for. So my idea, since it's all post-apocalyptic, is to do basically some paramilitary survivor. And they have become a scavenger, and they'd have a bunch of mixed-match gear, salvage some gear. So I'm going to go to like a military surplus store and somewhere like a Value Village or Goodwill and take some stuff and try to make like a ragtag, kind of like thrown together suit or outfit, and then just cover it with military gear and some kind of dystopian sci-fi armor pieces, very scavenged. But I figure this is the post-apocalyptic future. There's going to be some gases and radiations and things, so this is going to be more of a protective mask. So make it look not too crazy sci-fi. Maybe it'll get a little sci-fi, we'll see. But a cool looking mask. Stop it. Because it's got, so the bat that I made, it's if you look up Saints Row purple bat, you might find it and see why I can't show it on the show here. I'm not sure the policies on Twitch, but the last thing I want to do is get kicked off. Mr. Badmec just tweeted the stream. Ah, thank you, Mr. Badmec. Awesome. Really, it depends on what the mask is and what I'm making, how long it'll take. The skull one I did in just about a day. This one might take a little longer, just because the skull one was only pretty much just a simple little masquerade mask. Didn't cover that much of my face, but this one I think I'm gonna cover all the way down to the mouth, kind of build it up, and then bring it back on the top of the head a bit, so I have some kind of straps and stuff on there. So right now I'm just layering this clay on, and then I'll start to shape it and play with it from there. But right now I need to get it on there first. So right now it just looks like I'm mashing clumps of mud on this guy. It's not pretty yet. It'll get pretty later. Usually I start streaming around 2, and I'll stream for a couple hours. So we'll see, and I'll announce it. The schedule's kind of irregular right now as I'm in the mid-transition of a move, moving back to LA. So it's as I can right now. But once I get to LA, I will have a permanent schedule, which I will post up and inform everybody. And you can follow me on on Twitter and Facebook and find out more about that, as well as Patreon, and I'll be announcing more there too. But this is kind of a last-minute move thing going on, so I'm preparing for that. So bear with me. This is such the fun part. When I was doing Tali on the sculpt, I had to kind of get because there's a visor here, so I don't need to worry about this, but I had this weird piece here, so it looked like I was sculpting on clumpy, balding hair with this chin strap beard, and it looked pretty weird. This is actually a live cast of my own head that I had my shopmate help me out on, so that's how I know that this is going to fit me perfectly. So that's why, like, these guys I built for myself. These masks here. They fit perfectly. So, and what's nice is since I have a large head and a large face, they'll fit most anybody. And if you want to see more on making life casting, you can go check out my website, wmarmory.com, and there's a video up there. If you go to my videos, you can find one on life casting. And it's not necessarily a step-by-step tutorial, but it goes over the basics of how to do a life cast. Eventually, my buddy is going to be putting out a whole thing on live casting, and we might live stream some live casting for you guys to see. So there will be a video, and he has been doing this for a long time, and he is very informative. So, but all that is to come. Alright, goodbye, Septiler. Take it easy. Thanks for jumping in, and we will see you later. One thing I have to keep in mind when I'm adding this clay is I have to make sure that I'm building it out enough so that it's not going to be pressing into my face. So I can't make it too form-fitting. I have to make sure there's at least like yay amount of clay at any point touching my face. Let's get some music going. Alright, get some ambience. I put on Pandora, but they love to throw me a ton of commercials, so let's throw on some Borderlands. So for those of you who went to Dragon Con, did you have a good time? This was, I believe, my 5th Dragon Con, I would say. And every year is a crazy blast. I'd say if you get a chance, see the parade at least once. And I was actually in the parade once, and I don't ever want to be in the parade again. Because I'm from the desert, so I don't take humidity very well. And it was fun, but it was a little exhausting, especially drinking the night before. have to get the info from my friend, but there is a do-it-yourself live casting package that you can get, and it has everything you need aside from the extra hands to help you do it, to make a whole live cast. So I will have to share that, and we can go over all the materials so you guys can do your own live cast. And it's pretty affordable. I mean, for what they give you, it's really nice. They give you some good quality stuff. Another thing that we want to cover in future live streams is doing a body form, so that way you have something to build the armor off of that's your own size. Which is very helpful to have instead of guessing and trying to make stuff work. Do things like duct tape mannequins, plaster body forms. It is always good to have something to work off of. It makes things so much easier, and it gives you a place to kind of hang your armor up too. You're not wearing it. Attach things to it, see how it's going to go together. It's always the most weird looking, boring part of making a mask is just applying the clay to the piece that you're making it on. Yeah, alginate is used very commonly in the dentistry field. I got a mouthful of it last week. Not fun. The thing with alginate, though, compared to using silicone to make a mold, is alginate's a one-time use. You can't really get two pulls out of it because it breaks apart. But it is very cheap in comparison to silicone. Yes, alginate is seaweed-based. So it's all organic and safe, which is why the dentist can shove it in your mouth. Not that I'd swallow it, but it is safe. Seaweed is also used in toothpaste and in sushi, and it's delicious. Dropping some science on you. There's a lot of armor that I would love to do for Dragon Con, especially something from War Machine. But when you're going to a convention that you're not driving to, it can be very difficult. So a question in chat is talking about a bigger suitcase for bigger armor. One thing that you can do is you can actually ship your armor to a friend locally who's near there and driving, or to a hotel. I try to avoid TSA at all costs. And I like to make my armor modular so it's easier to take apart and put in a suitcase. Having a hard-shell suitcase is best, that way it can't get squished. And also making sure if you lock it, you use TSA-approved locks so they don't cut it off. If you have things in there that could be construed look like a weapon, might want to ship those. Most everything I do is foam, so through an X-ray scan, it's not going to show anything. Really, it's not going to show metal or weird electronics. But shipping it is usually best if you have a lot of fragile parts or things like that. I have had friends who have had horrible luck with TSA and just destroying their stuff. So you got to be really careful when you're traveling. And usually, if I have a helmet or a mask, it's carry-on. I will not put that in the bag. Like Star-Lord, my cultist mask. The friends take their Iron Mans on board. Don't put that in a suitcase. Stuff like that will get crushed. I have such a big nose. I'm gonna have to really build this out because of my big old schnoz. And once I get all of this on there, I'm going to use a rake to kind of scrape it, smooth it all out, and we'll go over some smoothing techniques. But that's when I might need to go run out and grab my compressed air. That is key to making it smooth. Because what you're doing is making it very rigid after you've heated it up and made it malleable, and then you can go over and kind of buff it and sand it out. Yeah, I know some people that transfer their armor in rigid totes, like the big kind of chests, and ship them in that. I usually just pack them in a giant suitcase with my clothes around them. But yeah, I think next year I'm gonna try to get invest in a really nice luggage suitcase to transfer armor in, or just ship it out to a friend. The nice thing with Wasteland Weekend is I'll be driving to that, so I can take whatever. But it's also good for local cons, local things. You know, if you're in somewhere like Seattle or Atlanta or LA, where there's a lot of conventions or local things, you know, it's nice to have a large costume because then you don't have to, you know, fly or take crazy transportation to get there. The very first year I went to, the second year I went to Dragon Con with my very first costume, which was my Blue Shepherd. I had it in a large military duffel, and it made it out just fine. It was the blue set of capacitor armor. Had no issues. I packed it on the way back, and I was waiting for it to come off of the baggage claim, and I see this duffel bag start to come out. It slides down, it hits the end, and it opens up, and all my armor goes flying out onto the floor. I had a regular combo lock on there, and wasn't thinking anything of it. And this is when I learned to use a TSA-approved lock. They weren't sure it was in there, so they cut the lock and pulled my armor out. They didn't pack it the way I put it back in, shoved it in, and since they didn't understand how to close the bag, if any of you know what a military duffel bag, how it closes in the end, it can be a little awkward to anybody who hasn't really used one of those bags before. They just folded it over, tossed it back on there, and all my stuff came flying out. Luckily nothing was really damaged, but had it not been foam, it could very well have been damaged, or lost, or crushed. So always have a TSA-approved lock, and a hard case is preferred to a duffel bag. So now the idea kind of have with this is I want a lot of like a lot of sensors, something on the face here, a lot of ventilation, real ventilation, that way I can breathe because this is going to be in the desert. The idea is to cover my face, to give me shade, and to have a hood that attaches up top here. I'm going to have, the scarves that you can pull over, and then I'm going to have a bunch of tactical gear. The idea is not to cover that much up, but to protect myself from the sun, and in case there are any dust storms I can pull that mask up. So I want to have some kind of clips or something here that can tie in and bring kind of a hood down. And I'm going to do some kind of like gas mask strapping thing in the back to really make sure this stays rigid on there. Hoping there's no dust storms. That's something I'm not unfamiliar with, though. One thing I will say about Dragon Con that I have noticed in the several years I have gone is that the costume game has really been stepped up. There are a lot of phenomenal, incredible costumes. But on the downside, which is great, but on the downside, because there's so many incredible costumes, I see the ones that are getting a lot more attention are the very joke, funny, late night costumes that seem to get a lot more attention. For example, there was a ton of Immortan Joes, many fantastic looking ones. But one that got the most attention was a last-minute thrown-together joke costume mashup with Immortan Joe and Donald Trump that my buddy up here in Seattle put together, and it went hilariously, and it was a very last-minute spray paint a couple of things gold, pin them to a cheap suit, and then put his Immortan Joe mask with a really crappy wig on. and that got more attention than his actual phenomenal regular Immortan Joe. So it's these more clever costumes that are really starting to get the attention of people, as opposed to these. Because I saw some phenomenal costumes, and these other costumes that were last minute, clever costumes, were getting way more attention. Which there's nothing wrong with that, they're clever, but it's because the costume game has been stepped up so much. I think the clever ones that people can really relate to and find funny or comical or cool seem to get the most attention. And kudos to him for thinking of that idea. It's hilarious and really clever. You have looked at his stuff. Thomas is his name. He does some incredible costumes and props. Does some cool foam stuff. He does the pink Hello Kitty Gears of War costume. I do not like this song. This song is... But he does the pink Hello Kitty Gears of War costume. And it is... oh, that's right! There was a Mrs. Doubtfire with a lime in her hand as she was about to throw it. I forgot I saw that costume. There were some pretty good, clever nostalgia costumes there. I think that's really the place for them is Dragon Con. People love the funny nostalgia costumes. A lot of Rick and Morty costumes, which was absolutely hilarious. Mashups are really popular too, yeah. I think next year, definitely do the Saints Row. Gonna put a lot of effort more into the weapon than I will the clothes. Go for a later night kind of costume. It's comfortable, but have a cool, fun prop like the dubstep gun. And then I'll have some kind of fun Joe costumes. But I think next year I might actually do my complete own original set of armor, which is probably going to be confused with something else. This year in my Purple Saints Row armor, I had someone step by me and say, "Good-looking Commander Shepard." I got a kick out of it, though. I thought it was pretty funny. Because when I was actually in Shepard armor, I was mistaken for Master Chief in Halo. When I was in my Zaid, someone called me Dead Space. It's always entertaining. The thing is, I usually do side characters or DLC armor. I never do the main cover armor of stuff when I make the costume. So a lot of people mistake me because they either didn't play the DLC or get that content for the game. The tool I'm using right now to scoop out this clay is just a cheap Michaels little scoop tool. I'm heating up some of the clay with a heat gun and then just going in and then just scraping it out like kind of an ice cream scoop. And then I'm getting these little strips, just kind of mashing them up until they're warm and then just pressing them in. And this is just to get kind of a base layer of clay model with a wave cast. Good rule of thumb, if you don't recognize the costume, it's probably from League of Legends. Of course, now you have games like Battleborn and Overwatch from Blizzard, which kind of have a very wide array of looks as well. Got some teeth there. So the next big events I'm going to, Wasteland weekend, and then Kamikaze, which happens late October in Los Angeles. And I'll be at that. Might have a bit of Saints Row. Might throw something else together. We'll see what I have going on. Might just show up and hang out. Let's see what I have time for. Alright, heat up some more of this stuff. Now, if you're ordering monster clay, one container is good for masks. If you want to do a helmet, do 2 containers. As the 1 container is kind of pushing it, you probably won't be able to get as much out of a helmet. This stuff, sadly, I wish you could, but you can't get it on Amazon. You have to go to their website to get it. Yes, this is monster clay. Monster clay. If you can't get monster clay, any kind of chiffon, oil-based clay should work just fine. I like the more rigid stuff because I like to do a lot more mechanical, more carving. So I try to stay away from the more the softer clays. I think I'm going to go with asymmetrical with this guy. I don't really want any symmetry. I want something kind of cool and off-center, some cool vents. A little robotic looking maybe. And one thing I do is you always build it up to perfect. And then you bring it back. Somebody's calling me. I will be right back, folks. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Got a call from family. Just checking and making sure everything's okay. So. Alright, where were we? One more clay on this guy. Kinda looks like I'm just molding chocolate right now. But I imagine it doesn't taste like chocolate, so I'm not going to try that. I keep smacking the damn camera with my head. I've used this clay so much, I'm finding little bits and pieces of silicone and resin and plaster and all kinds of stuff in here. Yeah. After a while, all this stuff does go kind of bad. So you gotta throw it out and get some new stuff. For this inspiration, I think I'm going to use a little bit of District 9, some Borderlands, something kind of like that. I'm really a fan of that kind of post-apocalyptic, dystopian kind of stuff. Actually, I really like the Star Trek, the newer series Star Treks that came out with Christopher Pine as Kirk. I think that's who I'm saying that right. But at the very beginning, when he's being chased down as a kid by the cop, and that's a sci-fi futuristic police officer with that really cool mask. I really like that, the asymmetry going on. So we might do something a little bit inspired, kind of like that. We'll see. And as always, if I sculpt this guy up, they will be available to buy your own casting to modify and play with. Which, if you still want the skull, I am offering those skulls. You can go get those in the store right now. There's a raw kit that you can carve in and do whatever with. Get this clay a little more. Monster Clay versus Shavant. I've never really used Shavant. I have a lot of friends that have used both. It really depends on what they're doing for preference. I'm using this just because it's what I'm used to and it's what I have on hand. But once I get back down to LA, I've got a list of recommendations of clays that I'll be using. So I'm going to try those out. And we do a test comparison. I'll live stream it. We'll see what's what and we can do with. I was talking to a guy who does toy making when I was at an event called Construct in New York. They brought me out there to teach some classes on painting and weathering. But I was talking to a guy who's in the toy making industry about different kinds of clays for kind of sculpting and carving and doing more mechanical and biomechanical things. Yeah, that's a little loud. So they gave me, or he gave me a list of clays to try out and play with. So I'm going to experiment and do that when I get back out to LA. Don't worry, Mr. Badmec, I had a phone call as well, so you really didn't miss that much. So when you're doing a mask that has a visor or lenses, to avoid fogging up or reduce the amount of fog, there are some sprays that you can spray on there. It's recommended. But the best thing to do is have ventilation around the nose and the mouth and up top around the back here, the back of the visor. So most of the hot air is escaping through here, or little hidden vents, and if it goes up here, it rises and it goes up the vents in the back. And if it's a fully enclosed thing, having some fans in the back, sucking air out, blowing air in, to get that airflow going, to avoid fogging up. If it has nowhere to go and it's a flat front, it's going to just fog up. So you need to have somewhere to vent for your nose and mouth. But this guy, I'm kind of going to try and avoid lenses. We'll see. If anything, I might pop some sunglass lenses out and put those in there. That way I have a little bit of eye protection from all that sun in the desert. Have I ever tried polymer clay? No, I have not, but I am always happy to experiment with new materials and tools. It's the thing I like to preach is there is no one right way, one no best tool, one no best material to use. It depends on what you're doing, what you're comfortable with, and just what works best with for you. So, some people like Warble over UVA. That's perfectly fine. I don't think one is superior to the other. I think some things work better in some situations, and sometimes just what you're comfortable with. But never be afraid to experiment outside of your comfort zone. See what new materials might be good to work with. You might end up disliking it, but at least you tried it. But never try it on a final product. Or a last minute if you have a tight deadline to do something. If you have a tight deadline, just use what's tried and true and what you know best. Don't try something new last minute, because you could end up screwing it up and making more work for yourself. I'm saying this from experience. I just got who somebody was in chat. How's it going, buddy? Sometimes I read over the names a little too fast. Yeah, you got it, buddy. All right. Usually I'm just bad at mispronouncing their names. Polyclay. I'm not familiar with polyclay, but I'll have to check that out and look into it. Is that kind of like the green stuff that you get for miniatures? I'm familiar with sculpting with that, patching up miniatures and modifying minis. I do a lot of mini game stuff. War Machine, Warhammer. Janus Concepts, how many knives are you going to sculpt up? Do you have any off castings? Because I'm thinking of just bringing a box of whatever out there and just going with it. I don't have an actual set costume plan. I'm going to bring out some different toys, some different things I have. I've got a lot of old military gear. I'm going to go hit up the surplus store before I leave here. There's a big surplus store. And see what they got, see what I can throw together. Luckily, I've still got my nice desert boots. I mean, I say nice, but they are very well broken in. So I'm definitely going to wear those. My goal for Wasteland Weekend is to avoid carrying an excessive amount of shit around. The more cons, the more things I do, the more I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to hold anything, and if I do have something to hold, I want it to be lightweight. So most of the time if I go to a convention, I carry a pistol for a prop. Or I make sure it's made out of foam, or lightweight, or that I can strap it to my back, or my hip, or something like that. If I have a large prop, I'll usually just have those for like photo shoots or something. Right now I will cover up the eyes, but I'm kind of using this as a gauge to see how thick I'm getting this, where I'm building it up, and then I'll mash and cover the eyes, figure out a visor, whatever I'm going to do. Kakarot cake. Ask him in chat what I'm trying to make. I don't know. I'm making something for an event called Wasteland Weekend. It happens out in the desert in California. And I'm just kind of throwing something together, making it up as I go. Right now, the base idea is for some kind of paramilitary survivor. Wasteland Weekend, is a better explain this event. The best way to describe it is it's like Ren Fair, a Mad Max Ren Fair in the desert for a weekend. This clay is really dirty. I'm finding all kinds of pieces of stuff in it. I think next step, buying some more monster clay. Or buying something else. Get something new. I just need fresh clay. Right now I'm just trying to bulk this guy out, get the shape on there. Janus Concepts, if you're trying to throw a link up, I've got that disabled because a lot of people do spam. If you want to share something with me, go ahead, throw that up there on my Twitter. One thing I got to do is add moderators. I keep forgetting to do that because moderators can throw up links. I'm going to prop this guy up so I can better see, so I'm not having to lean down here. Right there. Let me get some scrap wood. Right now it's like more of a Lord Humongous than anything else. Alright. This is always the most unappealing part of the process. Kinda looks like I'm just mashing poop all over the base. Hey, Hit People Guy, welcome to the chats. This clay is monster clay. Got one 5-pound tub. 5 pounds is enough to make a mask, but it's not enough to do a helmet. So we're going to do a helmet. I suggest 2. Can't get this stuff on Amazon, sadly. Have to go through their websites. I think it's www.monstermakers.com. Figure I'll turn this guy into some kind of shoulder piece or something. Well, right now it is very undefined as I'm trying to just get clay on there so I can sculpt and carve into it. Once I get my base shape, it'll really start to come together and actually look like something. Well, Mr. Hip People Guy, I suggest you just dive right into it. There's a lot of great tutorials, things out there. I've got a lot of build write-ups on my website you can check out below of how I built my Star-Lord helmet, other masks and things I've done, all kinds of tips and tricks there. And I even got the live streams of how I made this guy here. Not quite a helmet, but it goes over the basic process, and I go over sculpting and molding that. So you can check that out. And it does help to have a life cast to sculpt off of. Especially if it's your own. This big old mug right here, this is my life cast that my buddy helped me do, so anything I build on this I know for a fact will fit me. Which is good, because I have a huge head and a huge face. And this crazy beak nose going on here. So last night, per recommendation, I started watching the series Doctor Who, which is great. It's a very cheesy show, which makes it fun. But having a lack of sleep from Dragon Con, and then kind of binge watching for, oh, I don't know, 7-8 hours of Doctor Who, had some really trippy dreams last night. So none that I can really recall enough to make sense out of, but yeah. Binged to watch that till about 2:30 in the morning until I had to wake up, or sorry, not wake up, go to bed so I could get up early. Yeah, some really interesting stuff in that show. Good tip there from Janus Concepts. You can buy generic live casts if you are unable to make your own. You just have to make sure that you build it up enough with clay that it will fit your head. So using something like calipers or a bent coat hanger to make sure that the dimensions are right to fit you. Yeah, good tip, monstermaker.com will sell that generic live cast. If you go to like a Reynolds supply store, I believe they sell them now too that you can buy. And they come in different sizes and shapes. I just wanted to have my own since I have a very large face with a crazy big nose. So that way I knew the crazy big helmet. The helmets I would make in masks would fit me and would be nice and convenient. Hit People Guide. No, I have not. I've got a general idea of what I'm going to do. Some kind of paramilitary, Borderlands, District 9 inspired looking mask. So right now I'm just building up clay. I'm going to start carving into it. And I've got this bucket of bits here, different things and parts and pieces, elements that I'll be adding to it to make it look cool. I'm going to go with some asymmetry, but I'm going to start taking some opinions from the audience as I'm making this guy. Figured it'd be a nice, fun, interactive thing. Have you guys make the calls and some stuff. Help me make this crazy creation. And if you'd like, after I've done sculpting it and casting it, you can get your own cast. I'll have those up in my store. What am I making? Question chats. I'm not sure yet. It's kind of making it up as I go. Post-apocalyptic, dystopian, paramilitary-looking gas mask for an event called Wasteland Weekends. Happens out in the desert. Oh, Mr. Badmac found a UK supplier of monster clay. Right on, man. Right on. Yeah, that's the thing with international. People will ask me, oh, what do you use? And for me, it's easy to find. So I'm like, oh, it's monster clay or it's barge cement. But usually you have to find the equivalent that's sold internationally because a lot of the materials may not be sold internationally and they have to be sent overseas, which can cost a lot more money. NCR Ranger? Yeah, I guess something kind of like that. A little post-apocalyptic, a little Fallout inspired. I'm going to go a little more modern looking than that, so I'm going more a little kind of District 9 kind of style. I really like the art from there, the stuff that Weta does. Maybe some Borderlands kind of inspired. Speaking of Mad Max and stuff, there's a new Mad Max game out. I'm kind of curious to play. See how that is. Any of you guys heard about it or looked into it? Debating if I should just pick it up and ignore the reviews. Or if I should read the reviews and be sorely disappointed. I just want a good destroy things, nonsensical game. That's kind of what I need to see right now. What? There's no Fritos there. Yeah, no, I have to have my snack. It's my chili cheese Fritos, the best flavor ever. Oh, that's sad to hear. One game that I'm really waiting for is No Man's Sky. Even more so than Fallout 4. There hasn't been a good flight sim game that I have enjoyed. I love sim games like that. The flight sim, exploration kind of stuff. It just looks awesome. And I don't like MMO aspects, so that's why I didn't play anything like EVE Online or stuff like that. And this is more of a open world sandbox kind of place without the MMO quest chain. World of Warcraft sadly destroyed my love for MMOs. It's a fun game. I had a lot of good times playing it, but got to be a bit much after a while. People started turning it too much into your career, and I just had better things to do, so stopped playing World of Warcraft. But if that's your jam, there's nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't my jam. Since then, I haven't been too fond of MMOs. I think the most fun I have now is just crazy, nonsensical games that you can just jump into and jump out of. Kind of like Saints Row. And they have quests and things like that, but just one of those games where you don't really have to take it seriously. Because they're always good, always a nice way to kind of waste a bit of time. No need to try World of Warcraft. It's a massive time sink. Mostly I get into World of Warcraft, so I had something to play with my brother who lived across the U.S. at the time. And got that to play with him, and ended up getting into a guild, and things got crazy, and I had to find something better to do. I guess when I got into Halo Reach was not too long after that. I started playing that. The older I get, the less I'm finding I want to play these games that require a lot of hours and dedication. The more I'm finding I like games where I can just jump in and be silly and have some fun for a little bit. The downside of games is even after you get a high score or achieve a level, you turn the game off, you don't really have a whole lot to show for it. You might have had fun, wasted some time, definitely. Although if you're playing with friends, I do think that is a lot of fun. And that's some of the most fun I had playing in Destiny. Wasn't so much playing by myself or anything like that, but it was just playing with friends, or at least having them on chat and we're screwing around while we would farm for materials. That's a lot of fun. But just mindless grinding by yourself, I can't get into that. Instead, I'd rather create something, so afterwards, after all that hard work and time, I have something to show for it. Exactly, Mr. Badmac. It's good to just go blow some stuff up in a sandbox-style game. It can be therapeutic. But there's plenty of different games out there for all types of people, whatever you're into. I'll tell you what, Bethesda games, I spend way too much time on. You never really beat a Bethesda game, but I beat Oblivion. I'll just say that. It is the only game I have ever gotten every single achievement and found every single Easter egg and done everything on. When I get to those 9 to 5 jobs, this is before I was into prop making and things like that, I just had a 9 to 5 job. I played games pretty excessively. Come home, and that's all I would do. Because I lived in a small town, and there was nothing to do, and that was my only escape. I played a lot of Halo. When you start out playing Halo in PvP, and you walk out of the bunker and you get sniped, there's that one guy, that one asshole, who always gets you. As soon as you turn the corner, headshot. And after a while, I became that guy. And that's when I realized, maybe I should back away. Jason Freeney? I am not familiar with that person, sorry. I'm also horrible with names. If I see maybe some of their work, I might know better. Their work or their face. Ah, okay. Jason Freeney is most famous for being the creator of the MTV Moon Man Award. Harry Bow 6. Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the chat. Alright, I'm gonna build up this bridge right here. And I know it looks pretty clumpy, lumpy, and like a big old piece of poop right now, but we're just getting the clay on there. I'll carve into it, I will shape it, and I will give it some angles and bring it in. So this is not its final form. What am I creating? I have no idea. I'm just kind of making it up as I go. But it is a post-apocalyptic, going to be a post-apocalyptic kind of paramilitary looking survivor wasteland scavenger mask for an event called Wasteland Weekend that happens in Los Angeles. Or sorry, not Los Angeles, in California, in the desert, after Labor Day weekend. And the best way to describe it, it is a post-apocalyptic Ren Fair. And I'll be going to that. What? Unchained Melody? Oh, God. Gotcha. Ghost reference. Hey, Janus Concepts, if you're still listening, I have an idea for a live stream now. Little Patrick Swayze going on there. Oh, yeah, see, now that you mention his work, I know. See, I know the work, I don't know the name. I'm horrible. I tell people this, I'll meet people at conventions and be like, I really apologize, I'm going to forget your name, but I'll remember your face. Because I am horrible Bio Cosplay, what's up? There's somebody I met at Dragon Con. How's it going, man? Yeah, I'm just pulling little chunks off of this big tub here and then just slowly kind of mashing them where I need them. Oh, I hear you, Bio Cosplay. I'm still a little exhausted trying to recover from Dragon Con. My plan to get sleep did not happen. Usually my plan is, I'll just sleep on the plane, which I always say that, and it never happens, especially when you have 2 screaming children in front of you. I thought, oh, I have an exit seat? Nice. That way I'll have my legs stretched out and I can relax. Luckily I had earphones, but that meant I had to blast my music, so it didn't really let me sleep. But it was better than screaming children. Kind of wondering if that parent gave their kids too much cocaine, or not cocaine, Coke or soda or candy before they went on the flight, because, oh man, constant screaming. Never fails. I never sit next to anybody cool in a plane. They either smell, make too much noise, or constantly have to go to the bathroom. That's my luck with flights. But I'm used to it. I've been flying by myself since I was 11 years old. So. Ooh, 12-hour drive back. Yeah, driving is rough. I'm gonna have a long drive when I move back out to LA. Partially tempted to do a nice cool trip just down the coast and see the ocean. And the other half of me is like, no, I just want to get home. Guess it all depends on how I'm feeling. Probably going to end up being, no, I just want to go home and sleep. I'm not a fan of driving that long. Used to it, but not a fan of it. Being in the military, and a military brat myself, I've done plenty of driving all around the U.S. Oh no, I don't have to be careful. I'll rip and scrape and pull this off. This hydrocal is pretty tough stuff, so I don't have to worry too much about being careful. Because I'll cast it and mold it on here and turn it into a slush cast. And then when I'm done making the mold, kind of like this, let me grab this over here. So what I'll do, like for this skull mask, is I sculpted it on here, slathered it on the silicone, did a mold jacket over top of it, peeled this off, pulled the clay out, ripped all the clay off of there, and then I had a mold in there, and that's how I make these masks, as I slush some resin in there and get that. So when I take this off, I've already made a mold, so I don't need to worry about being careful. Yes, I commonly use 65D. That's what I'll be using for this guy, is some 65D. Actually, I might want to use some something different. 65D actually might melt. Not melt, or it might warp under the heat since I'm out there in the desert. So I may use something else, or I may fiberglass it in the back so it's a little more rigid. We'll see. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Right now, let's just get this guy sculpted up and molded. And I can worry about what I'm going to cast out of later. Yeah, fiberglass is not the most fun thing to sand. Make sure you're wearing pants and long sleeves, and have do it somewhere outside. Have a make sure you have a mask on and glasses and gloves. Um, a nice, good ventilated area. You don't want to sand it in an enclosed area. It's not the worst thing though. Yeah, you can get paint overalls at like Home Depot, and you can wear those too. Some gloves and a mask and kind of cinch that down tight. That might help. Then just some compressed air or something afterwards. Dust yourself off. Take it off. Throw the suit away. Get one of those disposable suits. It's all good. So got a question of what cameras am I using? Logitech C920 is the main guy right here. And then I've just got kind of a crappy little $30 webcam to show my face, because that's not important what's going on here, it's what's going on here. So this is a C920 Logitech. You can get them for about $60 to $75. You can get them on Amazon. You can find sales on Loot Crate and other places. They're really nice cameras. They work just fine. Right now it's Monster Clay all the way with this guy because it's what I have on hand. So if you were just joining me, I'm just checking in. I am making a mask. I have no general direction right now, other than that it's going to be some kind of paramilitary, post-apocalyptic respirator mask for a Wasteland weekend. It's an event. It's a post-apocalyptic Ren Fair, essentially. So I'm making a mask for that. I might bring this down a little further so that way when I talk, my chin doesn't pop out the bottom. Because my chin right now is just right there, so I might bring it down about a half an inch more. And there's my back. That'll make my thumb sore. A little more, and then we'll start carving into this guy. Bulk up this some. All right. I'm trying to look straight down to make sure I have it built up somewhat evenly. Now using these kidney beans and a rake like this, you can see the little serrated teeth on it on the one side right there. And this, using these three tools, I'm going to try to straighten this out. And what I'm going to do, let's see, I'm just going to take this end here, I'm going to scrape over that, and try to flatten that out, smooth it down. Now, it's best to have a large rake to do this, but I only have a tiny rake, so this is just kind of trying to get the start of it. I'll put that back in the container. This is where it gets messy and clay gets everywhere. So you're kind of just shaving pieces off. You kind of see that side smoothing out a bit now. This helps you see your low spots, and then you can go back in and kind of mash some clay in there, smooth it out, build up your low spots, knock down your high points. Size off yet. A rake, and they call them kidney beans. They're little bean things. Metal kidney beans. You can get these guys in all kinds of shapes and sizes, with serrated edges, with smooth edges. Serrated edges are good for trying to bulk out or block out your shapes. So what I need to do is I need to actually get some more tools, because I'm starting to sculpt a lot more. loosen this up, make it easier. I have zero formal sculpting training. Other than what I played around with in high school. Question in chat. It's kind of one of the things I had to pick up and learn, but also the way my brain works is it's very three-dimensional. I've done a lot of fabrication and 3D building, so I can kind of envision it in my head and kind of see what I want easier. So I am taking from other skill sets that I have and applying it to this. So having kind of a, other 3D fabrication skills and applying them to this does help. And I've picked up things from watching videos, from talking to friends, from watching other people work. So that has helped. But no, I do not have any formal sculpting training. A lot of these things you just got to dive into and go for it and watch other people. Learn from them, talk to other people, watch videos, experiment, try new tools. Most of what I do is entirely self-taught, from watching others, talking to people, experimenting, trial and error. Plenty of mistakes were made, but that's how you learn, is by making mistakes. Can't be afraid to make mistakes and screw things up, because that's going to happen no matter what. Even people who've been doing this for 20 years screw up and make mistakes, and they learn something new every day, or they should be at least. Should never stop learning. Always expand your knowledge. It's another way to always stay young. Mentally, at least. Always keep learning things. Always have a more fulfilling life. Once I get this generally smoothed out, I'm going to start drawing some shapes on here. And we're going to start really making this guy come to life. Okay, so now I'm going to use, where did I put it? Trying to find my phone ruler. Yep, this will work. Some paper here. Got a piece of poster board here. Use that to straighten out the back. Kind of get a nice shape in there. And then I'm going to grab a little scalpel looking piece like this. And this. I'm just going to put it along there. Oops. Put that back up. Now, it's a lot higher than I want it or need it, but it gives me a nice straight edge. And then I can line that up and continue with that. Straight on down. I'm trying to show you the symmetry right on this. I'm drawing lines horizontally across here as a reference point to see where the jaw line is coming to. Now I didn't make this part low enough, so I'm going to add a little bit of clay to it. You don't really put out the details until you get everything moved out. No accidents, just happy little mistakes. I want that to be level. So I'm using this ruler to try to straighten this out from this ridge here to the chin. Just want to make sure I leave myself plenty of enough room for my freaking beak nose. So it helps to stop every now and then. It also helps to have a mirror on the opposite side, because then you can turn around and you can look in the mirror and try to see from the back side a different perspective if you're symmetrical or not. And the symmetry part is probably one of the biggest pains in the asses. But once I have the base shape symmetrical, then I'll start adding the asymmetrical details. So I can already see looking straight down that I don't have a perfect symmetry like this. And this is where I'm going to start using the kidney bean to kind of come up top here and try to shade this down. This is also really high in the back, so I'm just going up now. Alright, so let's figure out some shapes here. Should we do... kind of want a large flat strip here so I can put some like filtration kind of vent here, and maybe some cylinders up on the side. Maybe I could add like these, maybe. Something kind of like that. This filtration thing in the middle, and that's what I'll use the perforated steel. We've got a lot of cylinders. something like right here on the side. Kind of like a shape that comes up like this. Straight down. It has the filters here. Favorite costumes I saw at Dragon Con? There are quite a few good ones. And I think I was probably the happiest to see all the Rick and Morty stuff, because I recently just started watching that show, and I'm getting a kick out of it. Start buttoning out the nose. So I want this to be nice and flat in the front. One place I like to go to if I ever need inspiration is conceptships.blogspot, and they have also Concept Robots there too, which is affiliated. They have some really amazing, phenomenal concept art there. I might actually pull that up and start looking at stuff to get some ideas for this. Could go. Well, don't do big nose. What I think I need to do is bring down the back some. Build out around these eyes a little more, and I think I might pull up some different concept art and things to get some general ideas. Figure out what I'm going to do, where I can put my filters at. So now I want it to be asymmetrical. So I might do just like 2 filters there. Oh wait, so like a filter thing here. 2 on the side, maybe some hoses, something going like around here in the front, side. Got all kinds of knobs and switches. I think maybe over on the side here I'll have like some cut-in area and I can have some knobs and switches. Happy little knobs and switches. These pieces too. And some kind of cool filtration looking thing right here. widen out the bottom too. Happy little Wasteland mask. It's a happy little apocalypse. Seriously should get like an afro wig to, you know, when I'm doing my live stream. Happy little sculpts. Hi, I'm Will Morgan. Welcome to the joy of sculpting. I think it's the eyes that's throwing me off. I know this looks hideous right now, but just trying to figure out basic shapes. Hashtag happy sculpts. Happy little sculpts. Alright, I'm gonna pull up concept robots. Will this have a hidden dick butt? Perhaps. Monocle, maybe? Could be a Wasteland gentleman. What we got going on them internets? Alright, let's look up concept ships.blog spot. Let's see what we got. See if I can find anything fun and worthwhile. Something that can inspire me. To do that, I'm going to get another giant mouthful of Fritos. Oh, this poor computer. You can do it, little computer. I believe in you. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. You can do it. Concept robots. Aww. Ooh, those are big robots. Those are nice. Oh, little robots. Actually, I remember one of my favorite costumes now from Dragon Con. If any of you are fans of the Whitest Kids You Know series, there was a skit called Sex Robot. I saw Sex Robot there. Basically, it was a cardboard box with aluminum foil and air duct arms. Simplest thing, they probably built it there at the convention. But it was one of those things that if you've seen the skit and get it, it was pretty funny. To the question earlier, what was one of my favorite costumes? There were a lot of great costumes at Dragon Con this year. Tell you what, everybody's really stepping up their game in the costume department. Am I East Coast or West Coast? I am West Coast, the best coast. No, I love the West Coast. I used to live on the East Coast. Not a fan. Love my West Coast. Oh, here we go. Here's some stuff. Man, there is some phenomenal art. Yeah, if you guys check this stuff out here, we check out the whole thing. Some phenomenal concept art, really cool stuff. Great for inspiration, kind of get you in the zone for making something. I always go here whenever I'm having creative brain farts to kind of see other people's work and be inspired to create something. Some really cool art here. There's one artist who does some very subtle stuff. It looks like it's a scene from like the 1980s, but then there's this one piece of science fiction from it that just kind of stands out and sets it aside and makes it not the 1980s. Like, there's just like a scene of a house in the winter and some old like station wagon out front, and there's just some little walker bot just walking around through the snow, and it looks like something from the 80s, except for this little walker bot. So there's some phenomenal art on here. Yeah, I need cylinders. Definitely cylinders. Let's see. Load. Ooh, that's some crazy looking stuff. This is probably murdering my stream right now. I think I might square the face off a little more, have it a lot less rounded. It's looking a little too Borderlands Psycho right now. Actually, you know what I could do? I think I'm going to have a tube along here, but I could have hollow, and that way I can have the tube from my camelback come up and filter through the side or through the top through here. So it looks like it's part of the mask, but it's actually my filtration, and I can have some rigging or some zip ties to put it inside, so I can always have that right there in my mouth. That would be a cool idea. Have some functionality to it. Ooh. Oh, I like you. You're going into a new tab. Okay. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. These are pretty sweet. I'm liking some of these ones. Maybe a little bit too robotish, but I'm really enjoying some of these shapes. Kind of got the bug-eyed thing going on. Alright, I can dig it. So, I think first off, this ridge back here needs to come down some.